Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we're going to be figuring out what happens if you don't help Charlotte Balfour, the widow of Willard's Rest, in Red Dead Redemption 2. So Charlotte and her quest line in RDR2 is one of the most wholesome and also one of the most interesting quest lines in the entire game. Now, interestingly enough, her stranger missions don't have a name. It's almost like Rockstar intended this to be like a little secret that you had to sort of find out on your own, because you don't even see anything marked on the map until you're literally feet from her, which is very strange. So anyways, there's a couple of different encounters you have with Charlotte. The first one is where you'll encounter her sitting by her grave north of Ansburg, where she'll inform either Arthur or John about how her husband has just passed away. I'll let you guys take a listen to this right now.
We came out here from the city in search of a different life. Something true, something real. All this squandering and indulgence, we wanted to strip it away, to find something authentic. What a pair of fools.
Is there a train station or town I can take you to?
No, I can't give up now. He wouldn't want that. I can't have it. I'm gonna do this for you, Cal.
Well, I'll leave you to it. Is there anything left for you to eat?
Nothing. No, we didn't know the first thing about hunting. We couldn't even catch a darn mouse. If you need any poisonous berries, though, I'm a natural at finding those.
Well, you ain't gonna last much longer out here if you don't know how to hunt. Come on, I'll show you.
All right? But you better not try any funny business. You know, I may be weak, but I still know how to stand up for myself.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Come on.
So as you guys saw there, she basically stated she was going to die of starvation as she doesn't know how to fend for herself, and the two go off into the nearby forest to search for rabbits. Long story short, you basically find out that her husband, Calvin Balfour, was actually killed by a bear trying to hunt. And you also figure out that they're from the city and that they just moved out here. And essentially, you teach Charlotte how to catch a rabbit. It's pretty simple. And then once you're done, you actually head back to her cabin. Now, on the way back to her cabin, some wolves actually attack you, and you have to save the day. And she thanks you once again for basically saving her life. And that's when you get back to the cabin, and she tells you this.
Thank you. That was the first time anyone's done anything nice for us. For me, since we got here.
Nature provides, but she sure don't always make it easy.
That she doesn't. I'd invite you in, but I'm dead on my feet, if you'll forgive the pun. Please do call again sometime, though. A good rest, and hopefully I'll be a new woman.
All right, ma'am. You take care now.
So that right there is the first encounter that you can have with Charlotte. Now, this is where things kind of get interesting because you're supposed to have a second encounter. Now, I'm going to show you guys that second encounter now, and then I'll show you what happens if you don't have that second encounter. So for the second encounter, you roll up on Charlotte, and she is seen practicing on how to use the rifle by shooting at some glass bottles.
Oh, hey there.
How you feeling, ma'am?
Much better than I've felt in a long time. If we hadn't caught that rabbit, I don't think I'd have made it another day.
Well, you look better.
Better and determined, thanks to you.
Huh.
And if I'm gonna learn to hunt, I figured it was time I learned how to use Cal's gun properly.
How's that working out for you?
Well, let's just say my prey is looking decidedly unscathed. But the end of labor is to gain leisure. Is that not what Aristotle said?
Well, I don't know much about Aristotle, but, I know a thing or two about shooting a gun. Look, you gotta hold steady and firm. You just focus, breathe slowly, and always pull the trigger on empty lungs. Here, I'll show you.
So essentially, you just have to help Charlotte with her aim, and you eventually get her to hit one of the glass bottles, which is obviously the objective she was going for. And she's so thrilled that she actually offers you to go inside for a meal. Now, this only happens if you're playing as Arthur instead of John. We'll talk about some of the differences in a little bit. But basically, long story short, that is the second encounter. And you basically just tell her how to use the rifle, which gives her the ability to hunt. Well, what would happen if you didn't show up for that second encounter, but instead, days later, showed up at her cabin? That would be incredibly cruel, right? Well, if you do that, upon approaching her cabin, instead of there being a stranger mission quest line that you can activate, you'll notice a tiny black X marked on the map right where her cabin is supposed to be. And if you go inside, you'll actually find Charlotte dead on the floor. How crazy is that? You have the option to loot her, you have the option to pick her up. That is insane, the level of detail there that Rockstar actually put into this. So I'm not sure what she dies from. It would have to be starvation, right? Because you only showed her how to catch that rabbit, and that's it. If you don't come back to teach her how to hunt, that would be it. But is there an even bigger mystery here? That's what we're going to be talking about next, because it seems unlikely after just giving her that rabbit that she would pass away so suddenly. Well, it turns out that there's a really creepy character that might have something to do with her passing. So if you roll up to this campfire in Ansburg, you'll actually find this guy who has his little tent pitched, and he offers you to sit down at his fire. And if you do so, he's going to start talking to you about, if you have a girlfriend, if you have a wife, and he starts to bring up someone very familiar.
So you got a girl, mister?
I wouldn't call her a girl.
Me neither. Got my eye on one, though. I was hunting north of Annesburg when I came across this cabin. And there's no one there but this woman. Bit bony, but beautiful as the day is long. Real elegant, fancy type, too.
Mm-hmm.
I see how you like 'em, too, friend. Don't know what she's doing out there in the middle of nowhere, but turns out she's a widow. She asked me to leave, but in a real nice way. Made me feel good. I watched her from the bushes for a while, saw her cry. I think this is a place I could really hang my saddle. A hot dinner and warm bed every night. Don't sound bad to me at all.
So as you guys saw there, this guy is a stalker. He's like a perverted stalker of Charlotte the widow at Willard's Rest. How creepy is that? And then he just rides off into the distance. Now, what's kind of interesting is if we take a look at this guy's tent, he's got like nude photographs all over the place. So this guy is like a major perverted stalker, and he just brought up some weird instances that he had with Charlotte the widow, how he actually went to her house and she told him to leave, but that made him feel good in a weird way. So this guy is incredibly weird. Does he have anything to do with the connection of Charlotte the widow's death? Maybe because she didn't know how to use the rifle, she maybe wasn't able to defend herself from this creepy guy that went and visited her. That's just a thought right there. I think it adds sort of to the mystery of what happens to her. Now, there's a little bit more to this story. If you visit her as Arthur, you'll actually get invited inside of her cabin after the second visit, where you'll sit down and you'll have a nice meal. And she reveals a little bit more about her backstory and about, her situation.
Bon appetit.
Huh?
Please enjoy. And thank you again for everything. I really am grateful.
It was nothing.
You're a good man.
Oh, you don't really know me.
I know enough. There's always more to find in ourselves. You helped me to see that. My husband, Cal, was such an optimist. I found that to be very contagious. But there's a fine line between optimism and naivete. And we were both born with a silver spoon. Banquets, butlers, valets.
Sounds terrible.
It was just so many people, so many things. I was lost in it. I was crushed by it. My father was very overbearing. Then we came out here and I got crushed by this. You know, I pictured myself picking fresh vegetables, sipping homemade wine, writing a great novel. But I turned out to be a far more pathetic anti-heroine than any I could ever pen.
Oh, well. I reckon you're gonna be just fine.
Are you all right? Can I get you some water?
No, I'm fine. I just, thank you for this. I think it's best if I make...
Stay right there. It's gonna be okay. My dear Arthur, I have gone out hunting. Not a phrase I thought any pen of mine would ever ink, but nonetheless one I am very proud to finally be able to write. I am so very grateful to you for all the help and encouragement you've given me. There is some money in a box on the nightstand. Please take it. I have far more than I need back in the city, and I'd like you to have it. Please take care, and remain true to the man I know you are.
So as you guys saw there, Arthur, because of his tuberculosis, ended up passing out in the middle of dinner. He wakes up. He actually gets a letter from Charlotte, which is pretty nice. And this will actually prompt you to come back for a third and final visit. And doing so, Charlotte and Arthur will sort of reconnect for one final time. It's really sweet, and they have a nice little moment together.
My. I was wondering when I was going to see you again.
You look different.
Well, the rigors of simplicity take their toll on a woman.
Oh, no, I didn't mean
No,
it.
I know. Things are going well. I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, you did it all yourself.
So how are you holding up?
I'm still standing, which is an improvement on the last time you saw me.
I wish that there was something else that I could do.
Ma'am, you have done more than enough.
Please, call me Charlotte.
Arthur Morgan.
Well, you take care of yourself, Arthur. Well, please go on in and help yourself to anything you need. What's mine is yours.
Oh, well, that's very kind.
And then, of course, as you guys know, you can actually visit Charlotte when she's much older, 7 or 8 years later in the epilogue, if you completed all of these missions as Arthur, but then you return as John. Take a listen to this.
Hello there. Can I help you?
I think you knew a friend of mine, a fella called Arthur Morgan. Came by and helped you with some hunting and skinning probably 7 or 8 years back.
Yes, of course. Or I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he passed soon after.
I figured he might not have had long left. Such a shame. He found me at my lowest point and he lifted me up.
Glad to see you're doing well, ma'am. He wrote fondly of you.
Oh, I couldn't be happier. Listen, It's a long way out here. You're welcome to take whatever you need from the house for your travels.
No, that ain't necessary.
Please, I have everything I need and more. He gave me the ability to survive. And now I'm writing. Any friend of Arthur's is a friend of mine. Please take something. It would make me happy.
Well, that's very kind of you, ma'am.
So that right there is what happens if you don't help Charlotte the Widow at Willard's Rest in Red Dead Redemption 2. She ends up dying in her cabin, which is really sad. And we also found the creepy stalker that can be found near her resort as well. So I wonder if that had anything to do with the connection of her death. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below, though. Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more on this entire story and everything we covered today. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.